Good morning. Thank you, Adam. Good morning, everyone. I would like to do our opening remarks in accordance with actually prior to doing our opening remarks, I would just like to, let's call the meeting to order first. Why don't I do that? In accordance with sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. Before I do the opening remarks, I would just like to do some introductions. My name is Stan Komorek. I will be your chair this morning. And I'd like to introduce my fellow panel members. On my far left is Nadia Popovic. On my near left is Laura Alderson. On my near right is Rick Ross. And on my far right is Bill Dalton. I'd also like to introduce Barbara Batorzek, our Deputy Secretary Treasurer for the Etobicoke panel, and Barb's staff in front of us, between us and the audience. Okay, for the opening remarks, the Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning that apply to property, permissions to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consents to sever property to create new lots. Our land acknowledgement: we acknowledge the land we are meeting on is a traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. Our procedures this morning, the Committee of Adjustment, thank you. The Committee of Adjustment public hearings are now conducted in a hybrid, in-person and virtual format. Some applicants and participants will make their submissions in person. Others will participate virtually on electronic means through WebEx and on an online digital platform. The meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone and have the option of participating via video or audio only. All virtual participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, you will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. We ask that you also mute your device until you are called to speak. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance of the hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept materials at the hearing today. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the materials outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee on the application. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to the proposal at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantial revisions are made to ensure that the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals either in support or opposition to the application will be invited to speak. Generally, we first call on speakers in the hearing room and then those participating through WebEx. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When speakers are finished, the applicant or agent has the opportunity to rebut only those issues that were raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Okay. Did I miss a page?
Nobody noticed.
I know, I think Don did that last time too and no one noticed, but I just realized I missed a page. Okay, people attending in person today who want to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must first fill out a decision card, and those participating virtually need to submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address because the Committee of Adjustment and the Toronto Local Appeal Body will be sending notifications and appeal address updates by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Board or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government has amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. Now only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and specified persons and public bodies as defined in the Planning Act are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. Okay, each item will be called in order. When you make an application, when the application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and or take the matter into the committee for decision. Each speaker, including the applicant, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. Someone or I will comment when we are reaching the 5-minute mark. Okay, sorry for the reverse order, but I don't think anyone took much issue of that anyway. It's kind of our formality. So just starting the top of the agenda now, our first item is the confirmation of minutes from the previous meeting. Do we have someone that can move those minutes?
I will move to approve.
Mr. Ross? Seconded, but Mr. Dalton, all in favor? Okay, the minutes of the previous meeting are approved. Are there any declarations of interest, either from the panel or staff, for the items on this morning's agenda? Seeing none. Okay. We have a request. Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, we have no closed files, no files to be closed.
None today, Mr. Chair.
And we have some deferral requests, which I'll get to in a minute, but prior to that, we've had a request for a refund. And I believe...
Do we have him on the line?
No, Mr. Chair and Deputy Secretary Treasurer, we do not have the refund request seeker on the line or present in the chambers at this time.
So do we want to deal with that later, or do you want to?
So we can hold off on that, and once it's a refund request for 175 Brentwood Road North.
Okay.
So if they're listening, if they could join the WebEx meeting so that we can deal with their application request. At this point, we can hold it to the end of the morning session.
Perfect. And if they're still not there, then we'll just deal with it without them. Okay, thank you. In terms of deferrals, I believe there are a number of deferrals being requested.
Yes, we have 3 from the agents, items 6, 7, and 9, and a request from TRCA for item 8. So we can deal with those first.
Okay, so let's start with item 6 then. And that is... Why am I missing that? 2. I seem to have lost my page 3.
So item 6 is 11 VALECREST Drive.
Oh, right, okay. Okay, and do we have Mr. Orest Stavinsky on the line?
Mr. Chair, if we're doing number 6, item 11.
Oh, sorry.
Because it's Matthew Ribu.
Yeah, got it.
Yep, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. Sorry for the mix-up. So
that's okay. Yes, we received we acknowledged the staff report from Urban Forestry. They're recommending a deferral. We also did have a chance to review the letter of opposition, and we would like some time to revisit the application that proposed. And we're going to complete a couple of studies, such as an arborist report. So that is the main reason for the request of deferral today.
sounds good. Is there anyone else online or in person to speak to this item?
Mr. Chair, there is an area resident present in the chambers. And they do want to speak? Yeah, they do.
Dion Gonsalves, 82 Eden Ridge Drive.
Welcome.
Ah.
So right now, we're just considering whether we should defer this, and
Oh, yeah, no,
Look at it another time.
deferral is what I'm,
you have no issue with that?
no issue whatsoever.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Panel members, any questions? No? Someone ready for a motion?
I'd like to move a motion. That makes sense. They should do a bit more work and then come back, so I move a motion to defer.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, item 6 is deferred. Item 11, 197.
No,
Miss-
item 7.
Oh my God, okay, sorry. I need to go find my missing sheet. Okay, 7 is 12 Leamington Avenue. And we have a number of speakers here. The agent,
Mr. Chair, the agent is present in the room, and the 2 area residents are not on the call at this time.
okay, so maybe we can get the agent to come up. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Oriana Nanoa, planner at Design Plan Services, Inc., 900 The East Mall, Suite 300.
Okay, and you are you requesting the deferral?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, we're requesting a deferral in order to revise the plans and request a new zoning notice and hearing date. So I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Okay, given there's no one else here for this item, panel members, any questions? No?
I'm prepared to make a motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Popovic.
Move to have the matter deferred at the request of the agent for the applicant.
Okay, seconder.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Ms. Alderson, all in favor? Your item is deferred. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, are we on number 11 now?
No, 8, 4 LOUVAIN Street.
Yeah.
This is a request from TRCA.
Oh, I see. I thought we were going to deal with that one in order, but that's fine. So, Andrew Miskov, virtually.
Yes, hi, good morning.
And the area, before we go with Andrew, the area resident is present on the call as well.
Okay. So,
Sorry,
okay,
is someone else present on the call?
Mr. Miskov, how do you feel about deferral?
So I'm hoping to have this approved at this stage because the 4 variances that we're requesting are very small in nature. And I do have to talk to QRCA for a permit before we even apply for a building permit anyways. So all of this will be resolved prior to submission for permit. Typically, I cannot apply for permit without QRCA's permit anyways. So I'm not too concerned about this issue. We are going to remove the basement apartment and address any other concerns that they have.
Okay.
The actual proposal itself will not increase. If anything, will decrease through their consultation. Can I review the 4 variances?
All right. Now, so you want to proceed, and basically you're saying that's a separate process. So let's deal with it separately.
Yes. Yeah, because these 4 variances are relatively small.
Okay.
And I'll resolve the items with Matthew. I've already spoken to him a few times with, sorry, I think once or twice in this matter. So I understand what he's looking for and I can make those changes.
Okay.
And the
No,
owner is on board.
we understand your position. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Have you actually read the letter from the TRCA, Toronto Region and Conservation Authority?
Yes, so he wants to remove the basement apartment, which we're fully on board with. And he is not in favor of widening the house, but there's a pretty wide side yard setback. It's about 6-7 feet. Sorry, almost 7 feet. So we'd like to at least talk to him through this next round beyond the CBA hearing to see what he will accommodate.
Okay.
Because without their approval, we can't get a building permit. So
Thank you. Their
there's something
TRCA
there.
is recommending deferral.
Okay. Can we hear from the the resident that's on the line as well?
Yes, we can, Mr. Chair. Now, before we bring up Mike Matos, he did say that he'd want to be virtual, and during the mic check, we didn't confirm whether or not he'd like to be on video like he's asked. So, Mike, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm okay. You guys hearing me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Would you like to be on video or not?
I don't really care. I'm not actually seeing the button to turn the video on, so
What
so I'm not sure how I
I'll
would
make you a
start my video.
panelist. I've made you a panelist. So there should be a potential right in the bottom center screen there. There should be a start video button. There you are. I got you. Give me 1 second. All right, Mr. Chair. Let me just update the stage. And we're good.
Okay, so at this point, we're just debating whether we should defer this item or whether it should be heard today, and we'd just like your input on that.
If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Mike, are you there?
Avenue. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Mike, you were muted there for a moment. If you could restate your name and address again.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm Mike Matos. I live at 55 Cornellius Avenue. My house backs onto the property directly across the street from the subject property. I understand the TRCA's concerns. In 2013, the whole district was flooded. So whether this is part of the hydraulic floodway or not, it certainly is on the floodplain. And it's unwise, but as I understood it, this was an addition rather than a re-excavation. So I didn't have an objection. Really, I just thought I would like to look in and see if there was any obvious changes from the first requirements. And it's an old house, and I don't have any problems with it being replaced. The TRCA is not, according to the latest EA, going to actually change the channel directly across the street from the property. So I don't see any major increase in risk there. They're obviously backed up like everybody else, but I don't see a reason to defer this. And just Laura would be aware of this. I was a member of the board as the Toronto rep on TRCA in 2013 when these properties were flooded. So my knowledge is not just that as a resident, it's also as someone who was voting at the TRCA meetings that discussed what was going on here.
Okay, but you have no concern one way or the
But
other.
I have no concern with this going ahead as presented.
Okay, thank you.
And as Mike said, he has some expertise in that matter, so.
Okay. All right, panel members. So we have the request from TRCA. Applicant would like to proceed. No one is opposing the, going forward other than TRCA is asking for the deferral. What do you want to do? I mean, typically we only do advisory comments for TRCA. And should we proceed and do an approval, we can't make that approval conditional on TRCA. So that's...
Yeah. Well, the applicant indicated that he is okay to go, so he can deal with TRCA after he wants. It's 6 of this, half another.
Sure.
So if he wants to make that call, then I'll move a motion to proceed.
Okay.
And I'm happy to second that motion based on Mike Matos's comments.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, so we'll go forward with this one this morning. I found my missing page. Thank you for everyone's indulgence. So item 9, I believe, is the next deferral request, 1180 the Queensway. And that's Forrest, okay.
Good morning, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Barry Goldman. I'm the architect and the agent for this application. We would like to request a deferral. We had a flaw in our zoning review. It did not identify the correct number of existing parking spaces. It showed 4. There was actually 3. Functionally, there's 4, but legally there's 3. In any case, the parking spaces, the parking shortfall that we indicated on our request was missing 1 additional parking shortfall. We have obtained a new zoning review, however, the letters have already been sent, so we need to increase our variance, and on that basis, we hope to be assigned on the next hearing so we can comply.
Are you using two devices? It's very difficult to hear you. It's garbled. Are you?
Are you able to hear me better? No, that's what we sound like.
Is there some?
Hello? Are you able to hear me now?
We can hear you fine. We're just, I think there's someone in the background as well that we're picking up.
Okay. You know what? I have an open window next to me. My associate is running over and closing the window. Apologies. Okay, is that a little better?
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. So
we understand your position. Is there anyone else to speak to this item online?
There is, Mr. Chair, actually not online, but in person. There's someone here to speak.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Paul Babanovich, and Ivan Babanovich is present, owners of 1184 the Queensway. Sorry, thank you. My understanding, the applicant is looking for a deferral. We do oppose to the deferral and the minor variance. Due to this, they did have enough time in order from Transportation Services. They did note themselves there are 4 parking spaces as well as known. There are less than actually 3 spaces on the lot if you look at 11 units.
Okay, but basically, you want this to proceed today. You don't want it to be deferred.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else, Paul?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, panel members?
Well, they do have a notice issue.
They do. The notice is very minor. I mean, the issue is difference of 1 parking spot, I believe.
Yeah, 4 to 3. But it's still a notice issue.
Okay.
So on that basis, I would recommend and move a motion for deferral.
I think I would second that because community planning does have conditions as well as transportation, so I would be happy to second that.
Okay, all in favor of the deferral? Okay, the item is deferred. Thank you. I believe that was all our deferrals. Thank you. Okay, so we'll go back to the top of the agenda. I'll just take 1 second to reorganize. Yeah. That's what happens when you cross out some of. Okay, thank you. And so going back to the top of the agenda, item 1 is 2 OVIDA Avenue. This is an application to construct a 2nd-story front and east side additions. There are 4 variances, 2 of which have been revised, and there's been a correction made in the late materials. Forestry is requesting denial, or in the alternative, condition 2. And we have the agent online.
Morning, everyone. My name is Segul Reyes. I'm from Alphatrons. I'm the designer and the applicant.
Welcome. Perhaps you can just do a brief overview of the application. I don't think we need a full presentation.
Yeah, sure. Actually, we are using the 50% of the existing walls of the existing house.
Okay.
And we wanted to construct the 2nd story on top of the existing walls. So the lot shape is like quite a different type. It's just like a trapezoidal or a pie shape. And we have some issues with the setbacks, especially for the 2nd story. So we have applied for the front, rear yard and the side yard from the south side. And the overall floor space index is allowed 0.5, and we are proposing 0.54. And I have seen in the area around the maximum permitted is 0.57. So I think we can get 0.54 permitted.
Are you not requesting 0.61?
No, we changed the design afterwards after talking to the city representative.
Yeah, got it.
And it is reduced to 4.
Got it. Okay.
I have a question. The changes that you've made on the revision page, does that impact any of the tree canopy that urban forestry seems so concerned about?
No, actually, we got the arborist report as well, and they have suggested us to move the driveway 0.5 meters away from the tree. It was already away, but they said it might damage the roots, so we moved the driveway 0.5 meters more to save the trees. So we are good with that.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a question as well.
Please.
Mr. Applicant or agent for the applicant, can you clarify? I believe this is there's a rental housing demolition issue here. Can you clarify your client's position on that and what the use will be if no longer rental housing?
Yeah, actually, this is a rental house right now, and it's the owner's relative, so we don't have any issue with that. So once we get the approval, we can get it vacant and we can do the demolition easily. That's not a problem.
Just to be clear, if I heard you properly, the rental component is a family member?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a relative, yeah.
Is there anyone else here to speak to this item or online?
Not online, Mr. Chair, and according to my list, not in the chambers either.
Any other questions from panel members? No, so we'll take it into committee then.
No one has any questions. I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay, Ms. Salters.
I will second that.
What's the motion?
Let me make the motion. I believe this application meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act and move for approval subject to urban forestry conditions numbers 1 and 2.
Were they requesting one?
1 and 2.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. My colleague is correct. There are conditions to be imposed, and I second the motion on that basis.
Thanks, Ms. Pavic. All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous approval. Thank you, sir. With the two conditions. Okay, item 2, 109 Flamborough Drive. This is a application to construct a new attached garage along the east side of the dwelling, a second-story addition above the existing dwelling, and a 2-story side and rear addition. There are 5 variances being requested. Sorry. It's an application to construct a new attached garage along the east side of the dwelling, a second-story addition above the existing dwelling, and a 2-story side and rear addition. There are 5 variances being requested. Planning is requesting a condition of approval, tying it to the site plan. Forestry is requesting a denial, or in the alternative, conditions 1 and 2. And we have it's the agent online. I don't have it.
Yes.
Tony?
Yes, hello.
Hi, welcome. Can you just give us your name and address for starters?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Tony Diodati of Orange Ink Design, and I am the applicant for this address.
Okay, welcome, sir. Just given that forestry has some concerns, perhaps you could address those to the committee, and if they have any other questions for you.
Yes, I would be happy to. I had spoken to forestry this week, and I had just to understand why they were requesting a denial, and I think it boils down to a very small city tree that's 3 centimeters in diameter, that it may not be, the tree itself and its tree protection zone may not be accurately shown. We are confident that in working with urban forestry, we can address their concerns, because the tree itself, as mentioned, is 3 centimeters in diameter, which would imply a tree protection zone of 1.2 meters. And this tree is located almost 2 meters from the driveway. So we're confident that we can satisfy all of urban forestry's requirements with respects to the city-owned tree. And we are happy to accept condition 1 and 2 with forestry. As well, we read the report made by transportation, and they too are recommending some additional notes to be placed on the drawings themselves as a condition of approval, and we're comfortable with that. We have no issue adding these additional notations to the site plan. So we respectfully request approval of our variances with the conditions as noted.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'm assuming there's no one else here to speak to this item?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, questions from panel members?
So just had a question about the transportation memo and the 4 conditions it contains. You're okay with those as well?
Yes, yes, we are. I had spoken to them as well. And yes, we have no problem adding these notations or dimensions on the drawings.
Thank you.
And what about planning's request to tie it to the site plan?
Yes, as well, not a problem. I understand that when we add the notations to the site plan to satisfy transportation, as well clarify any items that forestry wants on our site plan with respect to that city tree, we are confident that that site plan will be satisfactory to all departments.
Okay, thank you. Committee members, anyone ready for a motion?
Yep, I'd like to move a motion to approve the application as I think it meets the 4 tests subject to the planning conditions, conditions 1 and 2 for parks and forestry, and the 4 conditions for transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton.
Mr. Chair, I will second that motion.
Ms. Popovic, thank you. All in favor? Okay, the item is approved. Thank you, Tony. Our next item, item 3, which also happens to be number 3, BYWOOD Drive. This is an application to construct a 1-story rear addition. There were originally there still are 2 variances. One of the variances has been reduced. And there is a petition of support with 3 people on it, and forestry is requesting condition 2. And we have a speaker, Ravinder Singh. And is Ravinder online?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Ravinder Singh is present on the line and unmuted.
Very good morning, Chair. My name is Ravinder Singh. I'm representing the owners, Jishan Balla, for the property 3 BYWOOD Drive.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there anyone in the room for this item? I'm assuming not. No? Okay. Okay, Mr. Singh, I believe the application is fairly straightforward. I don't think we need a full presentation. If you're okay, we can just ask questions, or if you'd like to do a brief overview, I'll leave that up to you.
Yes, through Chair. Yes, the application is straightforward, and we have gone through the urban forestry comments. And as a matter of fact, we are in the process of submitting an application to permit that injured root of the tree. And I'm happy to answer any questions from the committee members.
Thank you. Any questions?
So I had one question. What is the length of the dwelling now prior to the addition?
Just a second. I have it open. So without extending it, so the length of the building is about 14 feet, 14 and a half.
Can you state that in meters?
Just a second.
Sorry,
It is 14.63 meters.
meters. Okay, thank you.
And your
Yes.
request is to go to 17.6, right? 0.68.
Yes, we are planning to add 3 more meters onto the rear yard.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Alderson?
No, I was just going to say, if no one has any other questions, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay.
So I believe this application meets the 4 tests. It's minor in nature, and I move for approval subject to urban forestry condition number 2.
Mr. Elton, all in favor? Okay, you have approval. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, item number 4, 68 Westhead Road. This is an application to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. There are 5 variances being requested. Planning is requesting a condition of approval. Forestry is requesting conditions 1 and 2. TRCA is stating that a permit has already been issued. Ravine and Natural Forestry has advisory comments that an application will be required. There is 1 letter of objection from number 70, and that's all we have. Marco Vieira is the agent, and Mr. Vieira is online.
Yes, and so is the area resident, Sofka Chevetsky.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Marco, are you there?
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good
I
morning.
am here, Marco Vieira, as the agent. I'm at 257 Dunraven Drive, and I'm the agent and the designer for this application.
Okay, I think we're going to need a presentation on this one.
Okay.
If you could, please.
Certainly. So through you, Mr. Chair, the application before you is for a new house, but it's by way of renovation. We're actually keeping the foundations and portions of the existing dwelling, but 50% of the existing dwelling is being altered. That is why it's considered to be a new house. We did submit a site plan, which we color-coded, hopefully to make it a little bit easier to show the extent of the proposed additions. I'll go over the variances to hopefully clarify and address some of the concerns from the residents. Variance number 1 is for a proposed front yard setback of 6.3 meters, whereas 6.88 is required. This applies only to a small portion of the garage front on the northwest side of the dwelling. The other sections of the house do comply with the front yard setback. Variance number 2 is for a proposed side yard setback on that same northwest side, and that extends only for the length of the garage, and after which it then increases the side yard setback to 1.46 meters. And similarly, on the opposite side, we're asking for a side yard setback variance because we are building up in line with the existing 1-story dwelling that is currently there. Variance number 3 is for a proposed flat roof height of 7.36 meters, whereas the 7.2 is permitted. We believe that variance is very minor, basically a numerical difference that does not impact or negatively change the massing of the proposed dwelling. And we do have some architectural features along the front facade as the elevation does stagger further back and away from the street line. So we believe that overall height would be not noticeable and not impactful to the surrounding neighbors. Variance number 4 is for a proposed rear yard platform and a front yard platform. The rear yard is 8.8 meters, whereas 4 meters is permitted. But in this instance, we consider this variance to be very minor because of the location of the proposed balcony. The proposed balcony will be set back 3 meters from the edge of the 1-story roof, and then 4 meters away from the west property line. And similarly on the opposite side and also in the rear. So essentially the balcony was designed to be inset within the roof area. The site plan is probably a little bit difficult to see, but if you go to the second floor plan of the dwelling, you'll see that the proposed balcony is significantly inset from the footprint of the roof, which minimizes overlook into the immediate adjacent properties. This was done to focus on the view towards the back, the ravine, and the mature trees in the rear yard, as the grade does significantly drop towards the rear. So that second floor there shows the balcony in the middle. And we feel that doesn't negatively impact the adjacent neighbors and does not cause a concern for overlook. Variance number 5 is for a proposed driveway width. And this variance is actually a reduction in the width of the current driveway and the current gravel area that is on site. So what we've done is actually increase the soft landscaping on either side of the existing driveway that is currently there. We are aware that planning has provided us with comments. They are fine with the reduction. So we believe that this is a better alternative to what is currently on site. And it will also allow us to work with forestry to minimize the impact to the existing private tree and also the city-owned tree at number 70. So the way we see our application in terms of the variances, in terms of minor numerically, and also from a way of impact, we feel that the proposed variances are minor. They do meet the 4 tests. We are aware of the conditions from planning, transportation, and forestry, and we have no objections to working and complying with those conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Could I just ask you one brief question? On that balcony, I understand the overlook situation, that you've mitigated most of it. For that little section that remains, would you be opposed to doing a privacy screen on that piece, or?
Through you, Mr. Chair, absolutely not. That would be no problem.
Okay.
That would be easy to accommodate.
Perfect, thank you. And now we have Ms. Chitkovska.
That is correct, Mr. Chair. Now, during the microphone test, we didn't have access to the microphones. We might have a problem catching them right now, but we'll give it a shot anyways.
Okay.
Sofka, go ahead.
Yep, can you hear me?
Perfect, thank you.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, great, thank you. Okay, Sofka Tchaikovska, 66 Westhead Road.
Okay, let us know what you think.
Oh, honestly, we don't have any issues with the build. We support the development, and we think it'd be a great addition to the neighborhood. And that's all we have for today.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, is there anyone else online or in person to speak to this item?
That's all I have on my list, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Marco, it's back to you. I don't think you need to do a rebut. And
I'm okay with that, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I think the concern, actually, I'll just address the concerns. I know my client will work with the neighbor next door, but it had to do more with drainage, overlook, the privacy, the shading. I think a lot of those things are just as an existing condition with the large mature trees. The lot is sloping significantly towards the rear, so I believe the drainage will be to the front and rear without any adverse impact to adjacent neighbors. We will be addressing that through, the building permit phase and through grading. So I believe that the design has been consciously done to minimize the impact,
I would tend
especially to the adjacent tree.
I would tend to agree with you, and I leave it up to you then whether you want to do that privacy screen or not. That was just my way of addressing the only objection that I could read from number 70. So if they want it,
thank you.
Do it. If they don't, up to you. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Panel members, any questions?
Just a comment. I concur with the neighbor at 66 Westhead. I think this is a really well thought out design, and I think the staggered facade impacts the massing and makes it less onerous. So if no one else has any questions, I'm prepared to make a motion for approval. I believe this meets the 4 tests. is certainly desirable and actually improves the existing condition with respect to soft landscaping in the front yard. So the conditions are, community planning has a condition that it be tied to the site plan, and urban forestry conditions 1 and 2. And TRCA is okay, but does require a permit, but you're aware of that. Okay, great. That's it.
Do we have a seconder?
Mr. Chair, I'll second that. Just for clarification, Madam DST, I read in my notes that there are 2 conditions for planning approval.
I've just got that, site plan, February 26th, as it relates to east and west side yard setbacks. So it's the 2 setbacks that may be why you're.
One condition addressing both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Fair enough. Thank you. I second on that basis with all conditions.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Okay, unanimous approval. Thank you, Marco. Okay, item 5. Before we go there, does anyone want a break or should we continue? Continue? Okay. Take it after? All right. So number 5 is 65 MacDonald Street. This is an application to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. There are 8 variances being requested. Metrolinx has advisory comments, and I believe there are no other departmental conditions or comments. And Jonathan Binkowski is the agent.
Morning, Mr.
Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, committee.
Good morning, Jonathan. I don't think we need a presentation on this. If you're okay with questions, or if you want to just do a brief overview, I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I'd like to point out is the landscaping in the driveway width is really caused by the right-of-way. I did just submit a little plan indicating, obviously, that needs to be maintained as paved area. So that's really what's creating the landscape deficiency, as well as the, yeah, there it is, as well as the request for the width of the driveway there. We have curved the driveway, as we can see on the city boulevard, to maintain that tree. And I would just also say that the existing setback is of the existing dwelling there to be removed is 0.27 meters, and we're proposing 0.46, which is an improvement.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak to this? I'm assuming not.
Mr. Chair, nobody else on my list.
Okay, and no one here in person. Committee members, any questions? Anyone ready for a motion? Ms. Popovic?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Based on the applicant's presentation, based on the materials provided, I believe that this application does meet the 4 tests in terms of the elements required, and subject to
There's no conditions.
I don't see any conditions. I move to approve without conditions.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Bill Dalton? All in favor? Okay, unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Binkowski. Yeah. Can we do a 5-minute break?
Maybe, Mr. Chair, maybe 10 at
10?
the very
Sure.
least.
Okay.
5's usually a bit too quick.
Thank you.
So with that being said then, so thank you, everybody. We're going to take a quick 10-minute recess. We'll reconvene at technically speaking, 10:30 we'll do, if that's okay, Mr. Chair.
We'll reconvene with number 8, is that correct?
Number 8 would be, yes, correct. Item number 8, 4 LOUVAIN Street.
How long is it break? 10 minutes. 10 minutes? Give me a chance to reorganize it. Find missing page.
I missed up all my pages, and that's just... Well, at least I got them in the right order. Right, right.
And this area resident wasn't on, he was on video too, right? And he spoke. He has since dropped off. So
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just worried I'm confused. So I've reached out to him just to make sure.
Right, because you think we may have deferred it.
Yeah. That's what I'm kind of nervous about.
But he had no issue with
Okay,
it.
perfect. That's what I just said too. So I just wanted to let you guys know.
I mean, he
So
essentially already stated his position anyway.
I know for a fact he could sit on the TRT.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure. I caught it and I was a little nervous, right? So I just wanted to let you know.
For sure, thank you.
Yeah, he literally just said that. He said he was, like, I heard that he was good and or this Thursday meeting, so.
Yeah, I mean, he
Yeah.
virtually addressed the
I was
the
just,
substance
I
without.
just didn't want to, for someone who was there and ready.
Yep.
Cool, thank you.
We kind of heard from him.
I think so too.
When I flip the page, I'll have the right page this time. Yeah. Thank you.
How's your iPhone? Is it still working? Yeah, why not? Mine just recently, the battery is driving so hot. Yeah. I thought the take it out of it. Wow. It would get so hot. What model is it? 7 Plus. Huh? 7 Plus. Oh, the 7 Plus. There's a class action on it.
I know, I filed. I think I'm gonna have to replace it.
I've given up filing those things. You end up getting $20 by the time.
Oh, okay, no problem. Thank you.
I have the 8 Plus.
Oh, is it 8 Plus?
Which is not part of the.
No.
My wife has a 7, so it's part of it, but we're not going to bother.
I've had no issues with it up until they filed.
Are you on the latest release of iOS?
Maybe not.
Try updating it. See if that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they fix that. Sometimes it makes it worse. Yeah, I would definitely shut for security reasons anyway.
Yeah.
Mine does it automatically overnight if it needs it.
I think it used to. Probably time for a new phone anyway.
Well, the reason I got the 8 Plus was at the time, anyways. It's the one I could read without putting my glasses on.
Oh.
Now I pretty much need to put my glasses on even for reading mail. But I do like 95% of my mail on the phone.
Yeah. Well, I still prefer the laptop.
This one?
Not this one, just in general.
One done.
Okay, we all back?
All right, Mr. Chair, I think we'll get ready to get started here, 10:30. I'll go ahead and unmute the room as well. So it's 10:30 and our members have returned. Let's get their cameras on and we'll get ready to get started.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Thank you. Yeah, 6 and 7 have been deferred. Okay, so welcome back. We're at item 8. Items 6 and 7 have been deferred. We've had a discussion about deferring 8. We've decided to go forward. So number 8 is 4 LOUVAIN Street. This is an application to construct a 2-story addition above the existing dwelling. There are 4 variances being requested. TRCA was requesting a deferral. Forestry is requesting conditions 1 and 2. And I believe it was Andrew Miskiv who was the agent. And Mr. Miskiv, are you back online?
Yes, hi. Hi, it's Andrew.
Hi, welcome back. And I guess if we could get a brief overview of your presentation.
Okay, yes, my client at 4 LOUVAIN Street, she's proposing a 2nd floor addition and an attic for storage purposes. And a widening of her house to the south. She currently has 7 feet as a side yard setback, and she wants to bring it down to about 2 feet. She has currently a storage container in her driveway, which she plans on removing once the attic is completed. So it'll restore a lot of the backyard to greenery. We are currently asking for 4 variances. 2 of them relate to eaves and canopy encroachments. It's more style. The 3rd variance is for rear yard soft landscaping. The current driveway is the width that it is, as is the fence, so there isn't too much we can do with that one. And then the final one, of course, is the side yard setback to accommodate a widening. I can review the TRCA comments. They have reached out to us to inform us that the entire neighborhood is within a floodplain. They have a study where within 250 years, the water level will rise to about half a meter above her average elevation. The TRCA will not support a secondary suite in the basement because it's below the floodplain. So we are okay to remove that unit completely and convert it to either storage space or a rec room. Part of this proposal, we are looking to improve the waterproofing of the basement to add leaping piles, proper drainage, gravel, etc., and pumps. And I'll work with the TRC to make sure that whatever we have will be safe, not for occupancy, but for use by the owner. And we are aware that we'll have to submit for TRC permits before Toronto Building will allow us to apply for the permit.
Okay, so you faded away.
Oh, pardon me. We are aware that the TRCA will require a permit from them prior to any building permit application to the city. There is also a backyard tree. The tree itself, we found out last week that there's a crack in it and it's resting on the neighbor's house. So Urban Forestry has begun the process of tree removal, at least looking at our application and assessing it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Just for context purposes, I mean, your property is essentially located across the street from Black Creek Drive, and on the other side of Black Creek Drive is the culverted Black Creek, several meters down below. It essentially looks like, you know, an open drain.
It's a concrete trench.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone knows the situation there. I mean, I have seen it spill over twice in my lifetime. So I understand the concerns from TRCA, but as we discussed earlier, that's a separate process that you're going to have to go through one way or the other anyway. So are you saying now that you're going to delete the finished basement?
We will delete the unit. We can incorporate, so early in the drawings, we have a separate entrance, but we can incorporate that into the house and delete the basement dwelling. So that can become the storage unit instead for what
So
it currently has outside.
you're deleting occupied space in the basement and calling it unoccupied storage.
Storage, maybe, I don't know if they'll allow a rec room down there. Eventually, if they do, we'll use that. If not, we'll call it storage.
Okay, just so if we're passing a motion to approve so that we know what the what the revisions are.
I can call it whatever TRC wants. If they require that it only be storage, we can do that. If they allow rec room for a single family residence, we'll do that as well.
Okay, but we won't get into that. But for our purposes, it's not going to be a secondary suite there.
No, if they allow a unit on a higher floor, maybe we'll consider it. But at this point, we'll just make it a single family home and a basement dwelling.
Okay, thank you. Is there? I believe Mr. Matos was online, but he's gone now.
That is correct, Mr. Chair. Mr. Matos was online, and I did get an email from him just now, literally, saying that they did say what they wanted to say in the earlier portion
what I thought.
today.
Yeah. Okay, and there's no one else here to speak to this item.
That is correct.
Okay. Any questions from panel members? No. Okay.
I have a question. Mr. Agent, can you clarify your comment about the tree removal? I heard most of it. There's a crack. Can you just clarify that point on the tree that you're indicated needs to be removed?
We had begun the process of pruning the tree, but the arborist visited the house and said that the tree has a crack in it. So it's a risk to both this property and the adjacent to the north. So we're looking at just removing it and either replacing it or working with Urban Forestry to resolve this issue. But there's four main trunks or branches coming out of the top. One is cracked. It's about a 6-inch gap in the photo. That's resting on the neighbor's house.
Thank you.
So it doesn't look like this tree can be salvaged or preserved.
Thank you. That was my question.
Thanks.
Okay, so as the applicant has indicated, they are deleting the basement apartment, which is shown on the drawings that were submitted, and that would be the only revision. The variances stay as they are. Is anyone ready for a motion?
I'll move a motion to approve the application as revised, as I do believe it meets the 4 tests, subject to the forestry conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Seconder? Mr. Ross? All in favor? Okay, unanimous approval. Thank you. Okay, item 9 was deferred. So our next item is number 10, 9 Carrier Drive. This is an application for a 2-story east side addition. There is 1 variance being requested. Forestry is requesting condition 2. And there is a letter in the late material relating to the revised use. And there are also photos. Planning has chimed in as being okay. And the agent is online. No, in person, sorry.
Actually, Mr. Chair, they are online.
Morning.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Staff,
morning.
Is the camera on by chance? It's Ralph Gratani.
Ralph, can you repeat what you just said? Sorry.
Yeah, is the camera on?
No, your camera's not on. I had you listed as being in person today, but I can allow for the camera to be on if you'd like.
I think so, just out
Okay.
of respect for all.
So what I'll do
Thank you.
is I'll make you a panelist now. So I've made you a panelist. I have unmuted you. It's down the center of the screen. There should be a start, stop video button that you can hit. And so there you go. Okay,
Yes.
perfect. I'll drag you onto the stage and update. Okay, we should be good now.
Okay, welcome.
Good, thank you.
In terms of your presentation, if you could just touch base on, I think there was some issues around potential, that there's residential units being stated here, but they're not really residential units, and you're in a commercial zone or industrial zone. So if you could just perhaps touch base on that as part of your presentation.
Thank you, sir. I will. Good morning, panel. My respected chair, members. My name is Ralph Gratani. I'm with RGC Design Group, and we represent the design and planning matters related to the proposed addition. As well, we represent the board of directors for the Spiritual Center, the Sikh Spiritual Center, the active members, and of course, the entire congregation for 9 Carrier Drive, north of Etobicoke. Our firm was retained last year to oversee the redesign and permit process. As the panel may know, this property currently has an opening building permit for a building addition in the same vicinity of the site. This diagram before you today shows an expansion of approximately 2% of the existing permit that's been issued previously. Our redesign has been more appropriately oriented to better serve the growing needs of our clients. My illustration board has started off with, I just have 3, Mr. Chair. It should assist members with a better understanding of the site design and orientation of the new built form. With staff's assistance, this first site plan shows the 2-story addition that is occurring at the east side of the property adjacent to Westmore Drive. If I could ask you to respectfully go to the existing illustration of the building, there it is. This quick illustration outlines a existing 1-story addition that we intend to remove. The remaining portion will have an addition, 2-story addition, which links the two together. The site and the building mass was originally constructed back in the late 70s as a single-purpose built facility for Canadian Tire. It was later closed and sold to my client in 2001. The Sikh Spiritual Center had begun the second chapter of their growth and expectation to a growing community at that time. The transformation and 23-year evolution of a dysfunctional skeleton of a building, if you will, into a place of worship with amenity and service spaces has been deliberate, ensuring a safe and protected converted building. With the panel's support today, the next chapter of their capital development and improvement shall begin. We hope that the panel has reviewed the submitted floor plans outlined for the intended uses. With respect to intended uses, the Extension of the current uses in keeping with the current open permit are to facilitate prayer rooms, the Langer kitchens, the commercial uses affiliated with that, and of course, the overnight stay rooms that the chair referred to. The facility currently has 6 of these overnight accommodations for the priests and the prayer elect. And we have to extend that to increase the volume of space for this accommodation. Not true in residential, but we realize the implication of creating future residential uses on the site. There will be a master plan being submitted to the city in due time to reflect an entire reorganization of the site to accommodate new uses. But that will be subject, Mr. Chair, to a zoning bylaw amendment application. That is not a part of this application, and I wish to infer that the residential uses as shown in the site plan are definitely not permitted. The variance before you today, one only, has been created by way of a dated site-specific bylaw 3132 that was created to facilitate a Canadian Tire store, not the current use. However, we have to address this variance because we're impacted by it through zoning compliance. It only applies, panel, to the overhang we've got in our design facing a roof overhang parapet facing Westmore Drive. As mentioned earlier, planning staff have denoted it that it does not comply, but the balance of the built form will comply with the performance standards of 569/2013. Chair, this application before the panel is as unique as any other application being heard today in the agenda. The variance is considered, in our opinion, to be technical in nature that facilitates a unique building design feature. This project does speak to the needs of a growing community, their fortitude and efforts by reinvesting in such a beautiful endeavor. The permitted uses provide an enhanced building and architectural that also meets the cultural and heritage policies of the City of Toronto. The term we're constantly faced with as planners is community benefit. I can truly say that this does offer just that. In conclusion, with the members' support of this variance, we seek relief, and that the intent of this application does generally meet and adequately comply with the 4 tests of Section 45 of the Act.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Forward to your support.
Is there anyone else here to speak to this item, either online or in person? I'm assuming not.
Mr. Chair, I don't have anybody, but we do have a late council's letter we'd like to put up on the screen for you, just for you to review.
Okay. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we'll zoom in there for you.
Okay, so basically we have a letter of support from the local councillor. Members, any questions for the applicant? No? Okay. If not, if anyone's ready for a motion.
I'll move a motion. I believe the application meets the 4 tests. It is only for the 1 variance, subject to the forestry condition.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Is there a seconder? Mr. Ross, all in favor? Okay, it's unanimous approval. Thank you to the applicant. Our next item, number 11, is 73 Botfield Avenue. This is an application to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. There are 4 variances being requested, and I believe there are no conditions being requested by any of our city departments. And this is, Orest is the speaker on this one, online.
Correct, Mr. Chair. They are unmuted and ready to go.
Hello, welcome.
Good morning, Chairman.
Okay, so you're fading in and out. Can you
my name. Yes, yes. Good morning, Chairman Committee. My name is Orest Stoyanovsky. I'm an agent on this application.
Okay, thank you. I don't think we need a full presentation. If there's any highlights you want to point out, we'd welcome that. But otherwise, if you're ready to take questions from the panel.
Ready to take questions, sir.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, any questions? Seeing none, is anyone ready for a motion?
I'm happy to make a motion. Excuse me. This is a very straightforward application that meets the 4 tests, and I move for approval with no conditions.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson. Seconder? Mr. Dalton, all in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you, Orest. Item 12, number 49, Cornelius Parkway. This is an application to construct a below-grade addition to an existing basement garage. There are 3 variances being requested. Planning has a condition of approval. Transportation is requesting 4 conditions of approval. And we have on file a support petition. And a bit of a unique application. This is, and the agent is online, Enzo.
Yes.
Welcome this morning.
Enzo Carrazza. Good morning.
Carrazza, thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee.
Good morning.
My name is Enzo Carrazza, and I'm the agent and architect for the proposal. I'm here to answer any questions.
Yeah, I don't
unless you want me to present.
No, I don't think we need a full presentation. A bit of an unusual application. Essentially, your client is looking to utilize a space below their existing driveway. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Any questions? No? Anyone ready for a motion? Oh, sorry, Ms. Popovic.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree that this is perhaps a little bit more of an unusual application. However, that said, it appears to be relatively straightforward in the sense that city planning has 1 condition, transportation does not have any conditions.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Excuse me, transportation service. You're right. Yes, yes. Reading my notes. 4 conditions, and Ravine has 3. Subject to those, Madam DST, subject to those, I move approval.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Popovic.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson. All in favor? Okay, you have your approval. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 13. 1338 Lawrence Avenue West. This is an application that was deferred from November of 2023. It's an application to legalize and maintain a 1-story rear addition, a detached ancillary structure, and pergola. It is also to construct a new front porch and attached garage and 2-story terrace. It's almost like 2 applications in one. We have 14 variances being requested. We have a letter of objection from the next door neighbor at 1336 Lawrence. There is a petition of support also submitted. And the agent, Angela Blanes.
Hello, good morning. Can you
That's
hear
correct.
me?
And before we go any further, I want to bring to your attention the area resident at 1352 Lawrence is not present on the call. And then
Okay.
obviously the other person on the list, Jean-Carl Dust, the property owner.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Adam. Angela, welcome.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Hello? Okay,
Yes.
good morning. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm the acting agent for this property. As you know, it was deferred. We've worked with planning extensively, and we reduced and took away a couple of the additions in the front and on the side. So we're left with the 1 single car garage. with a canopy roof carport extended on the side and a balcony connecting to the terrace on top of the garage. And also we seek approval for what is as built. The rear addition with the porch, which was originally there, the extension, but it was built up, and the front shed with the pergola. Those are the elements that we are asking for approval for today.
Okay, can you separate what's existing as built and what you're proposing? So the addition
Yes.
is existing, the pergola is existing, the shed is
Yes.
existing, but you're
Yes.
asking for a garage and balcony and front.
Yes.
Okay,
Single car garage on the side, front veranda, ground floor with the balcony on top to help shade it and protect it from elements. So, and the balcony on top connects to the veranda on top of the shed as a flat roof.
okay. And would you have a breakdown of the variances that would pertain to the existing versus what would pertain to what you're proposing?
Breakdown from what is existing.
In other words, if you had an application only before us to legalize and maintain, what would those variances look like?
Oh, I see. Well, I have them together actually, because even with what is existing, everything is built next to and abutting the property lines. As you can see, as this whole block of residences, it's the way it's built, they're either attached and built on top, because the rear yard really acts as their front access point, and the front yard, this is the only block that
Yeah,
they
no,
can
we
access
we understand that, and
Yeah.
and the zero lot line, you know, is going to pertain no matter
Yeah.
what. But I'm just trying to gauge the magnitude of what you're asking for beyond what's already been built.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
to be
this is really unusual.
that it is. To be more specific, you know, would your lot coverage be changing? And if so, by how much? Like what's your current lot coverage?
So really, the current lot coverage is at, I have it right here. The existing lot coverage is at 35.34. That's even though the rear was also pre-constructed. So really it is at 40 and we're asking for 56.
Okay, so you're currently at 40.
Yes.
But does that include the structures you're trying to legalize, or does that exclude that?
No, that would include.
That excludes the shed. That excludes the shed and the pergola that was put up.
Okay, so that would be
after.
just the main
So-
building itself.
Correct.
Okay, because like we're trying to digest a whole lot of information here. Like I said at the onset, it's almost like two applications in one.
And there's like 4 minor variances that are they're so minute that they, you know, they really shouldn't even.
We're not worried
as
about.
for
We're not worried about
50K and-
those. What we're concerned about, or what I'm certainly concerned about, is a request for a lot coverage of 56%, which is something that I don't think we've allowed anywhere. So I'm trying to grapple around what you've already done versus what you're asking for.
Okay, so I think it's an extra 10% of what we're asking for, really, because I'm just gonna check it one more time here.
Okay, anyway, while you're waiting, or while we're waiting for you to do that, Adam, is there anyone else to, online or in person on this one?
There is not, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
There should be the homeowner, actually, Juan Carlos. He was registered. He
Well, you
wanted to say
can't,
a
you
few
can't both
words.
speak. If you're representing him, then
Okay.
that's it.
During the microphone check, Mr. Chair, I
Okay.
did confirm with the property owner that Angela is here to
Okay.
represent them.
All right, so,
There's no one in the room here for Lawrence Avenue?
so I'm gonna take it that what's existing right now, excluding the two structures in the rear is about 40% coverage. Is that correct?
Yes, it's approximately 40%. Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's really what I was trying to nail down. Any other questions from panel members? Ms. Alderson?
Yeah, can you tell me when these ancillary structures were erected, the pergola and the shed? Like how old are they? How long have they been there? Because you're seeking to legalize them now, but I'm just wondering how long they've been there.
Approximately 3 years ago, in 2020, I think 2019 and 2020. 2019, I believe he put
And
them
the
up.
owner did not apply for a building permit for that?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No. Okay, thank you, Angela. I think we're going to take it into committee then, unless there's anything else you want to just share with us before we do that.
No, if you've considered the context map, actually, you can see that the neighborhood is built up with their double car garages and their terraces on top of the garage.
Yep.
Which act as, a double terrace. And there are front yard balconies and so forth. If you look at the context map, and single car garages
Yep.
with carports. So it's not
Absolutely.
abnormal to really
No.
ask for, this
But
necessity.
My understanding of the context there is that everyone has their garage in the back. So most of them have zero rear landscaping. Most of them are zero lot line, but most of them have their balconies or their terraces on top of the garage. Your client has built on top of that terrace and is now requesting an additional terrace at the front of the house. Is that not correct?
Okay, so at the front of the house is a balcony, which 1512, 1514, 1290, and 1280 that you don't see on the context map. That's just right beside. They have balconies too that are of 8 feet and 7 feet. So there are homes in that
have balconies
neighborhood
on
that
the,
do
yeah, okay.
in the front as well, and also, yeah. So and
What
the properties
about,
along the
okay,
line.
if you're going to do comparisons, then can you give me a comparison where you can see a 56% lot area in that neighborhood?
56, I think, actually, I think the one that just objected today, 1352, if I can't, they are completely built up right to the front, from the back to the front of lot coverage. The people that just put in a complaint this morning, and we had addressed their concern and knocked on their door, and they are completely right up to the front, to the back. You don't see any property. It's taken up by stairs and their
Okay,
amenities and
but
everything.
they don't have structures in the yard as well, though, right?
In the front yard, they have a veranda, plus 1364 in the front. They have a carport, large shed, and double car garage in the back. So that one's pretty substantial.
But in terms of
Yeah.
comparables, so you're just saying what they have. You don't necessarily know what the lot coverage is on any of these neighbors.
I haven't calculated, but they take up a lot of lot coverage. So 1364 is a comparable of their lot coverage. 1352, there's a lot of the homes that cover up all of their property of what they've built up, probably even further down as well. So.
Were those properties you reference built without permits like this?
I can't say, probably a couple of them might have been built without a permit. It depends. I can't say what permits they have at hand.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you. We're going to take it into committee then. Sorry, I'm just going. No, I don't see another property that has the same coverage.
I think part of the issue here is we've got to split what's to legalize and maintain and what's net new.
Yeah, and that's going to be very difficult to do.
Part of the same application.
Yeah. I mean, in theory, we're supposed to look at this as a new application, and
if it's not built.
As if it were not built, that's correct. But on the other hand, I mean, I feel some sympathy for the applicant for constructing within their, you know, filling in what used to be a balcony and adding on top of that as opposed to expanding the footprint of the property. So that's why I just thought if it was possible to do some kind of a dissection of this application.
And 1336 isn't here to
No.
sent in a letter.
No.
And
Yeah.
support. And, you know, I take that very seriously because it is a semi-detached dwelling.
Yeah.
So I take that very seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it is an unusual area. There's no two ways about it. I'm surprised planning isn't chiming in about setting a precedent for that kind of coverage, though.
If we refuse that coverage, what impact would it have on the application?
Pretty much, it's hard to dissect it because it's so much of it isn't integrated. I mean, the only thing I could suggest is, I mean, you know that 40% is essentially the main house structure, is what the agent is expressing. 40% is not unseen. I mean, we have approved coverages up to that in other applications, so.
Just a quick question of the agent for the applicant. Has the owner of this house actually communicated with the other side of this dwelling at 1336 Lawrence Avenue West? Have they had a conversation?
Yes, they have, and even without me, and also with me present. As you know, 1340 signed and submitted a letter, but right next to them, we did speak with him, and it was a gentleman, and he was okay with it until his daughter, again, sent in a letter, which we were surprised because we did speak with the homeowner, and he was okay with it, actually, because his concern was with his gardening in the front, and we just, you know, advised him, like, you know, it's a southeast facing property, and what we're building is on the other side, and we'll have screening there for privacy as well, and a new built up fence. And he was okay with it. And then we were surprised that they sent in a letter because we had spoken to the daughter even over the phone, and then she was to get back to us, but she never did, and then ended up submitting a letter. So as far as the homeowner was concerned, he's good with all of his neighbors, and he even canvassed the neighborhood as well. So that's where we stand with that.
But you don't have anything in writing from the
Well,
homeowner.
there is a petition, there is a support petition. I just, we need to look at whose names are on that or what addresses.
Yep, there's a support petition, and also there should be a couple letters there, and also from 1340, there should be a letter there that's next to the property as well.
But if you look at the petition, it's all in the same handwriting. It doesn't look like they were actually signed by these people. And some say just spoken with. So that's not a petition in support that's signed by people?
No, but there's phone numbers that they gave, and they gave their names
But
and
if someone is signing in
conversations.
petition, they should be signing. It shouldn't be all prepared by you. And there is a letter on file, a current letter in opposition from 1336 Lawrence Avenue West. So at this point, members, if you can make a decision, because she's had her chance for a presentation.
Yeah,
And the application has to be dealt with as a whole. There's no splitting.
No splitting it.
when we look at the support petition, none of the immediate neighbors are on there.
No, so, oh, go ahead, Bill, if you're prepared to make a motion.
I am. I don't feel that the application meets the 4 tests. I think it's a bit out of character with the area. There's just a bit too much happening on there, and the application isn't clear, and on that basis, I would move a motion not to approve.
You're moving a motion to refuse.
Yes, and I'll second that motion.
Okay, Ms. Alderson and Mr. Dalton, all in favor of the motion to refuse? Okay, the application is refused. Okay, application number 14, 51 39th Street. This is an application to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. There are 2 variances being requested. Forestry is requesting condition 2 in the event of approval. Planning is chiming in as they are now okay. Sorry, I should have said this was deferred from January 18th meeting so that it can be processed with planning and neighbors. There is still an objection letter from number 54 James Street, and LNBA has a letter with some comments, and I would couch that as a conditional approval.
Mr. Chair, I want to bring to your attention, there is someone present in the chambers who'd like to speak, and then LBNA is online virtually.
Perfect. Okay, and the applicant is, who did not register, is that online?
They are virtual, and they are present.
Okay, thank you.
Michael Forte.
Okay, Michael, welcome.
Michael, welcome. Hi.
Hi, I think we're going to need a full presentation. And do you have something on?
And do you have something on
behind you?
Behind you?
We have feedback, Mr. Chair, from
We have feedback, Mr. Chair, from Michael's side.
Michael, if you could, I don't know if you're logged in twice.
I don't know if you're logged in twice. No, I'm just logged in once.
Are you also watching on YouTube?
Are you also watching on YouTube? No, I'm only watching on I'm only watching on the WebEx app on my PC. So I can just go through it verbally. I don't really need to present anything visual.
No, we're just making sure we get rid of this
okay.
feedback.
We're just trying to get rid of the feedback.
Just trying to get rid of the feedback. Oh, okay. It could be from the speaker on my side.
It must be.
I'll just turn it down on my end. Just give me 1 second and I'll grab some headphones here. That might get rid of it.
Test, test,
Sorry
test,
about that.
test.
That's it. Okay, does that get rid of it?
Let's see here now, Michael. Can we hear you? Can we hear myself? No, thank you. That works. Thanks.
Yes, I can. Okay, perfect. Okay, so just to quickly go through, so last time the hearing was deferred, as you know. Since that time, the owner has met with the Long Branch Neighborhood Association, and some major changes were made to the original design to address their concerns, and also to address the concerns of urban forestry. Basically, what this amounted to was saving almost all of the trees on the site, including a city tree, and reducing setbacks, as well as the size of the building itself. There are two remaining variances, which we consider to be minor in nature. One is for the floor space index. That's been reduced actually to 0.59 from the original design. And with regards to that, I would just like to note that there are 32 lots in the immediate vicinity that have an FSI of 0.56 or higher. And there's actually 17 lots in the immediate vicinity that exceed 0.65. In terms of the other variance, that's for height. We're seeking relief in the amount of just 59 centimeters for the height of the building. I can also note there's a letter of support now from the Long Branch Neighborhood Association. I believe most of their concerns, if not all of them, have been addressed. And in terms of the trees, there's just one undersized tree that's being shown to be removed now versus the original application. And just in conclusion, we believe that the two variances being requested are minor and that they do meet the 4 tests.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
We're back with the reverb. Okay, Mark McKinnon is in person.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we'll do Mark first. Mark, make sure you engage the button there and make sure it's down if it's not already.
It's down now. Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mark McEwen. I live at 53 39th Street. I'm the house directly adjacent to this new build. When we were back here in January, we were vehemently opposed to this build. To the credit of the applicant, the committee recommended some community engagement, and the LBNA did a great job of reaching out to the applicant. And I'm going to say we've addressed some concerns. Okay, and of course, and I want to say outside, I should have said that's it. Nobody is against this gentleman building a new house. The lot deserves a new house. I do want to take slight issue with the agent's comments earlier about the FSI, where he points out there's 32 lots that have a greater FSI. I think there's a little disingenuous there because a lot of the lots in our neighborhood, mine included, are 25 feet wide. So it's pretty easy to be over your FSI, and that goes back to historical building. The applicant's lot in this case is a 50 wide lot. And I think if he was to then suggest what the FSI in the neighborhood is on 50 foot wide lots, I think the numbers might be slightly different. But we've had meetings with the applicant. He has listened to concerns. I think we've mitigated to a reasonable. So at this point, I'm willing to say to the committee, I leave it in your hands to judge the application on its merits. I certainly want to comment on the record that the LBNE was instrumental in helping us here on both sides, with the technical, with the applicant, and trying to make everything work as best we can. Because as a community, we have to work together to satisfy everybody's interests so everybody is reasonably happy in the end. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
I actually have a question of, is it Mr. McEwen? Is it Mr.
I'm back.
Are you Mr. McEwen?
Yes.
Okay. And you're at 53, right?
Correct.
So I've looked at Street View, and your building looks to be a fairly substantial height, comparatively speaking, to the new building.
We are, when we built our house several years ago, there was no variance required for the height.
Okay.
So
So
we,
how does it compare with, I know there's a slight height variance on the new build that's being proposed. How does it compare with your home? Is it shorter, higher?
he is, so if you look at my triangle,
Mhm.
okay, so the end of the second story, he is just above that.
So in fact, he's below the peak of your roof.
He is definitely below the peak.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Okay, thank you.
Are you saying you are supporting the application?
I'm going to let, I'm going to basically say, at this point, I let the merits of the application sit in front of the committee. Okay, you are the experts of this. He has made a lot of efforts to mitigate the concerns. It's a large house, but we're also seeming to allowing a lot of large houses to be built these days. So, like I said, I'm just going to, at that point, let the committee decide. Is that reasonable?
Do you know how many square feet the house is?
Pardon me?
Do you know how many square feet the new house will be?
The new house, 3,900? 3,900? Which is down from 42 was their original design.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sirs. And ma'ams.
Okay, we have, is there anyone else in the room here to speak to this? No? And we have Christine McCardo online.
Correct. I will unmute them now. Go ahead, Christine.
Hello, panel members.
Good morning.
Hello, panel members. It's Christopher. Good morning. It's Christine Mercado calling from the Long Branch Neighborhood Association. As Mr. McKeon also mentioned, the LBNA does not write letters of recommendation. Okay, that's not our job here. Our job is to try and improve applications when variances come up that that don't fit in with the neighborhood. So we have worked. And Mr. McEwen actually is correct. There are no lots with a 50-foot frontage of 0.59%. So now that aside, we have worked with the applicant. They have reduced the application. It is still a large house. They've tried to mitigate it with regards to the tree preservation and also the impact, the direct impact to the amenity space of the next door neighbors, as Mr. McEwen said. But we're hoping that the last thing can be resolved here because we would request that the approval be conditional on the approved designs. So this is not out of line with what planning asked for during the original application that was actually that was submitted back in January. So they recognized that there was variances and they recommended that it be, and we just asked that conditions still remain. Because in our research, the FSI doesn't exist on 50-foot properties in the neighborhood or in the immediate context. But we are recognizing that 7.6 meters is much lower than a peaked roof at 9.5 meters. And that really does make a difference for the next door neighbor and the impact in the public realm. So we have experienced modifications at the permit stage after approval, going from flat to peak, which would be which would change the impact for sure from the public realm and for the next door neighbor. So, and it would also put another question mark again when it comes to canopies and affected trees. So we're just looking for assurances that the roof line will not change. And the only method that I'm aware of is to tie the approvals to the plan, and that would be specifically the roof design. So the planning report was dated December 19th, 2023. They had a similar recommendation. And I do wish that we lived in an age where the applicant's word is sufficient. We made this request clearly to the applicant, but we haven't received anything in writing, or there's nothing in the public record that says that they're willing to willing to concede for that recommendation. So like Mr. McEwen, we're going to ask that this application stand on its merits, and we're going to leave it up to the committee to decide.
Okay, thank you. When you say tied to the design, are you going to reference specifically the elevations or the floor plan for the roof plan? Like, I'm just trying to be a little more specific than just generally the design.
Does someone have a
Well,
Yeah.
So the recommendation on the planning report is they recommended the house be constructed as illustrated, and I'm sort of a little bit beyond my experience here with regards to if that's sufficient. Like if it were to show up at a permit office, and they said, "Well, I want to make it peaked at an as of right." I don't know if that's sufficient.
Okay, yeah, I think we still need to tie it to specific drawings illustrated in that application. So let's come, I want to come back to the applicant and just see their, their input on that suggestion first in any case. So, but thank you. We get the idea of what you're trying to do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So is there anyone else on this item? No? Okay, so if we can come back to the applicant then, Michael?
Yes, hi. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have any objection to that. I don't believe the owner would have any objection to that. I mean, the drawings, the design is what has been submitted for approval, and there's no intention to make any deviation from that. So yeah, if you want to put something in the decision to that effect, then we wouldn't have any objection to that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we'll figure out specifically which drawings we want to tie it to, I guess. Thanks. Any other questions? No? Okay. Madam Secretary Treasurer, just the drawings that we have before us, do you know what date we would want to tie that to?
They're dated March 21st.
Okay.
2024.
There is a specific roof plan as one of the plans.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can achieve this multiple ways. You can tie it to that roof plan. You can tie it to the front elevation. There's, or any combination thereof. I think we'll achieve the objective. So I just wanted to put that out on the floor before someone makes a motion.
The elevations would probably be tidier because it actually shows the height.
Perfect.
Okay, so if there are no other questions, no, then I'd like to move a motion to approve the application. I believe it meets the 4 tests. And then I think we should tie it to the March 2024 elevations, and then as well subject to the forestry condition.
Thank you, Mr. Dalton. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Okay, Mr. Ross, all in favor? Okay, Michael, you have your approval. Thank you. Unanimous. Okay, item 15, 5 Lynngrove Avenue. This is an item that was deferred from March 7th. It is an application to construct 2 two-story additions, including a basement walkout and a rear yard deck. There are 3 variances being requested. Planning is requesting a condition of approval, and forestry has indicated there is already a clearance letter in place.
Mr. Chair,
Robert?
agent is present in the chambers, and we have 3 callers on the line. And you'll see at the bottom, there are 2 listed, Marika and Myron. During the microphone check, we confirmed that Myron will be the first point of contact, provided he's available, but he's also in a meeting right now. So if he can't speak, we'll go to Marika.
We'll see how long it takes.
But they
Okay.
do understand that it's only one person or the other.
Perfect, thank you. Welcome.
Hi. Good morning, committee members. I'm the architect, Rob McCackey. Our office is at 160 Pears Avenue, Unit 212, Toronto.
Okay, just given that we have a number of people on the line, I think we'd like to go through a presentation.
Sure. If you could pull up the site plan or the cover page of the drawings we submitted. This is a proposal to renovate and increase the size of a single-family home for our clients who recently purchased the property. So on this cover page, there's two images, and we're proposing the brick.
Sorry, we're having our presenter's laptop is a bit laggy today, and we're trying our best. But the members also have it up themselves in theory on their own screen. So please continue.
We got it. We can start the time clock too.
So we have fit a new third floor. The house to the front facade, the house to the right, is very similar to what was existing. And you can see what the roof line used to look like when you look at that one. Ours is still a sloped roof with a low slope roof on the top part of it. And we're introducing two new dormers. And then at the rear of the house, it's probably best to go to the site plan to explain the addition that we're putting on the rear of the house. Yes, in this drawing here, if you can maybe zoom in a little bit, you can see that ours, we're demolishing just the very corner of the back of the house and then adding a few feet to the back. We're not requesting any variances for the length of the house. It might be interesting to note the addition that the property at the top of the page is much further than what we're proposing. We have been in discussion with the neighbors to get their opinion, seeking letters of support, which we have two. And I understand we have two neighbors that have filed letters of objection. And since we were deferred on March 7th, we have received a letter of support from the city planning department. We're here we have talked to the neighbors who had letters of objection. And we have made some minor alterations to the roof and the dormer style. Today we are seeking 3 variances. The first one, area. We do believe that we're under the precedent. There are 11 precedents within 500 meter radius. Right around the corner at 127 Brentwood Road North, they had been approved for 0.8 times coverage. And we're proposing 0.69 times coverage. Number 2, the setback. I mean, this is just the existing sidewall setback, which will continue for our addition. And number 3, main wall height. It has to do with the way our roof is configured, but we did find precedent 1 block away at 77 King George Road at 9.58 meters. So we do believe that these 3 variances are minor and meet the 4 tests.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the presenter?
I just wanted to clarify that you were okay with the community planning condition.
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and we have speakers online or in person?
Online, just online, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. So Claire Lamb is the next one I have on my list.
Yeah, Claire has not been on the call, but the first one we got Lone Smith.
Okay.
Lone?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Luna Smith, and Mr. Chair and committee members, we are objecting to all 3 variances. They are not minors. We are the immediate neighbors. And I would like to enlighten the committee about the Kingsway. The Kingsway was established by Robert Home Smith 100 years ago with a distinct style that was submitted and as a bit of England, far from England. All of the houses in this area has been built with that in mind. During the time that Robert Smith was alive, he himself, as well as his architects,
Actually,
had to
I'm going to
approve
interrupt you for 1
every-
minute, if I may. Ms. Smith. I'm going to interrupt you. You know, we are familiar with the Kingsway. I live in the immediate neighborhood. We understand the architectural, well, I don't want to waste your time. I want you to focus on what's important, so I just want to try to clarify that. You know, we unfortunately cannot approve or disapprove based on design. We can only do it based on the parameters of the bylaw. So I just, you know, wanted to explain that.
I appreciate it. So we are objecting to the fact that there was a tree removed in the back. And since we are, my husband is disabled and we use the back a lot, it means that we have now lost the canopy. I don't understand, frankly, why the city would have approved it and now we are looking at a big hole. That's number one. Number two, the proposed design at the back is so overwhelming that we will be looking at a wall from our house. The size of the house is going from 206.6 square meters plus garage to a proposed 332.96 square meters plus a garage. That is absolutely huge. They are basically adding a basement living quarters as well as a third floor living quarters. So the dormers to the back are not in keeping with the design of the Kingsway. Secondly, we are going to lose the enjoyment of our house in terms of the shade that we have usually had. And the front is going from, excuse me just a second, from 7.2 meters to 9.44 meters. That is 2.2 meters higher than allowed. So our objection is on the enjoyment of our property. I haven't even mentioned the fact that we are constantly being shaken by all of the equipment, of course, that is still going on. In conclusion, I would like to say that they're not minor, and this is called variance creep in the area, meaning that only the people in the vicinity are informed about this, and this is a creep that is creating and destroying, in fact, actually, the entire neighborhood. So we are opposed to the minor variances. And by the way, there was no attempt made on the part of anybody to speak to us, apart from once I spoke to Mr. MacDonald, and he had just purchased the house, saying that he would be expanding the house. Well, he is. And that's my my submission.
Thank you.
Hello?
Yeah, thank you for your submission. Are there any questions from panel members?
I have a question. Mrs. Lamb, are you at number 3 or number 7? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that at the beginning.
3, I think.
No, I'm at number 3.
Sorry, Mrs. Smith?
Yeah, at number 3.
My Smith.
Sorry. Okay.
Smith, and sorry, can you repeat that?
Are
I can hardly hear
you
you.
at number 3 Lynngrove or number 7 Lynngrove?
Number 3.
Number 3. So number
correct.
7, it looks to be looks like there's a rear addition on number 7. Is that correct? Fairly long addition from what I can see. On the other side. Do you know anything about that addition?
Are you?
The addition on the
That
other
addition
side. It seems to be a fairly long addition. It juts out actually beyond the current proposal.
That's correct.
So it does.
And I'm not sure that's legal.
Okay, so there is some precedent for this length on the street. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is Ms. Lamb been found or?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And what about Myron?
Yes, so we'll try Myron first. If they're available, then that'll be up. Myron, are you present?
Mr. Chairman and committee, may I speak?
Please. Please give your name
Thank you.
and address first.
Yeah, my name is Myron Sobolski. I live with my wife, Marika Hohol, at 11 LYNNGROVE Avenue, just a few doors down from number 5. And we have lived at that location since 1996, and we would like to live at that location for as long as we can. We really like the neighborhood. I will be brief. We are we are objecting to the proposal because we feel because there are multiple variances, not just in area, but in height as well. And I think it's mainly the height variance that, to me, that is most disturbing. This property will dwarf the neighboring houses. The applicant has sent in a list of houses that have exceeded variances, and my wife and I, we went and we walked around the streets and we looked at every single one of these houses. And as you will see from that list, most of the variances are in area and not in height. And most of the renovations have been done very tastefully. The houses in this neighborhood tend to be two-story houses. And in fact, most of the renovations that have been done that exceed the variances have been extensions into the backyard of the house. So if you look from the front, they still look like two-story houses. Occasionally there's a dormer that sort of gives you a hint that something on the 3rd floor. But the current plan really is a rectangular box with 2 dormers sticking out front. And it's very obvious that this is a 3-story dwelling, whereas all of the other dwellings in the neighborhood are 2-story dwellings. So that is my primary objection. Furthermore, that list has several errors on it. For example, the house on 36 West Rose is a single-story dwelling, and there is, it clearly does not exceed any variances. And also the one of the houses I forget exactly which street, on Jackson. Jackson Avenue was also incorrectly labeled. It did not exceed variances. So I think it was number 40. But in any case, what another one of our concerns is that this is a new owner. He has sent us an email explaining his situation. We don't understand why there is a need for such a large dwelling. He has explained that he does not have children, but he does plan to have children. And it's one thing that if this was a resident that lived in this neighborhood for a long time and the circumstances dictated that there needs to be an expansion of the dwelling as the family has expanded, that would be one situation. But we are a little bit concerned that this maximization of both area and heights are primarily done for the purpose of profit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sobolski.
Upon resale of the property.
Everyone looks for a resale on their property eventually. Any questions?
Eventually, that's the point. In most cases, most of the residents in the neighborhood lived there for decades.
No, we get that, but we can't differentiate between a new or an old owner. We can only look at the merits of the application, but thank you for your presentation. we get your points.
You're welcome.
We understand your concern about the height. Are there any questions from, no, okay. If we can get the applicant back. Is there anyone else online?
No, Mr. Chair, that's it for people online.
If you could address the concerns raised by the neighbors.
We did, I just want to clarify, this is a single-family home. We are not planning on putting any apartments in it. And the variance list that we provided was listing both height and density precedents. So I don't know if there's some confusion, like for some of them that had a lower height, we weren't, like that we were probably just referring to the density of the project. And we did try to read through, and we did learn through the history of the neighborhood and how the Tudor style and the original developer, we did find that interesting, and we did modify the dormer style to try to blend into the neighborhood. So we did find, you know, although we didn't come to an agreement with everyone, the process of like reflection and making these small changes actually made the design a little bit better. Yeah, that's it.
That's brief. Okay, before you go away, just if there are any questions from panel members?
Yeah, so just wanted to confirm, so the information that you're showing below in terms of examples within the 500 meters, you obtained that data from City of Toronto, correct?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I guess my other question has to do with variance 3, which is the height variance, which is not an insignificant jump from 9.44 where 7.2 is allowed. And is that because of the design?
Yeah, it's the way the zoning, when we did our ZAP, it's the way the shape of the roof is. The main wall height's calculated a bit different than we were expecting. I mean, we are under the height requirement, but the main wall height calculation. So that's why the front and the back, like the ones that you feel the most, those are actually still quite low. Like if you measure the perceived main wall height at the front of the building, I mean, you can see just from the image that it's pretty much what's existing there. It's the side walls that are, you know.
Yeah, it's a side, you know, I live in Bowie Point across the river from this neighborhood, so I know both neighborhoods, and I do appreciate the fact that you have tried to mitigate your design to fit in with what we have, what's already there, because it isn't just a concrete box. But the sidewall heights, I mean, I have an identical situation across the street from me. I'm on a two-story, and there's a 3-story across, but it's perceived as a 2-story because it's only the sidewalls that protrude up, not the main. The only difference with this one is that there are 2 dormers, which definitely indicate that there is a 3rd story.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't have the 2 dormers there, it would be perceived as a 2-story.
Yeah.
I suppose you could have put the windows at the sides, but anyway, we're not the design police.
We're not, but I will add that I think this is very thoughtfully done, this entire project, and I want to commend the architects for a thoughtful design. And if no one else has any questions, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Thanks.
So, I believe this application does meet the 4 tests. I think that, you know, property owners are entitled to modernize their home, you know, and keeping, I think, the general flavor of the house and the neighborhood. And I think they have done this very well. So I'm going to move for approval, subject to community planning's condition that it be constructed as illustrated on the north and south elevation plans as it relates to the front and rear main wall height. So I think that should hopefully assuage the neighbors. And I don't think there are any other conditions. So just that one condition from community planning.
Seconder?
Second.
Mr. Dalton, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, carried on a split decision. Mr. Ross is opposed.
And my reason, by the way, is I don't think it meets the character of the area.
Sorry, 4-1 vote approval with the condition. Okay, item 16, 40 Wimbledon Road. This is an application to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. There are 7 variances being requested. Forestry is requesting conditions 1 and 2, and transportation also has conditions of approval, and planning has chimed in as being okay. Sorry, you got to flip my page. Don't.
Go ahead.
I'm assuming you're the applicant?
Yes.
Nick?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
Nick Ciccone, yeah. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Welcome. I don't think we
Again,
need,
second shot at it. Second kick at the can. We were here in...
yes, forgot to mention you were deferred from March the 7th. And as I say, I don't think we need a full presentation, but if you want to hit us with some highlights, and then we'll ask you some questions.
We worked with planning staff. We shaved off, I believe, 5 or 6 variances. We reduced the house by approximately 500 square feet. It's kind of self-explanatory.
Yep.
Planning staff weighed in. We're okay with city forestry condition. As a matter of fact, we've already submitted our arborist report and our application to the city forestry. And as for transportation, we're okay with those conditions as well.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from panel members? No? Thanks. Anyone ready for a motion?
This application is straightforward. I'd like to recommend a motion for approval, as I believe it does meet the 4 tests, subject to the conditions in urban forestry and transportation memos.
Okay, Mr. Dalton, thank you for the motion. Is there a seconder? Mr. Ross, all in favor? That's approved unanimously. One left.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm not sure who this fellow is here, actually. Oh, Jersey. Sorry, thank you. All right, Mr. Chair, this is the agent for the last item.
We've never seen you, we've only ever heard you.
I just made it in time.
Perfect. Okay, so number 17, our last item for the morning, 150 Melrose Street, an application to construct a new garden suite in the rear yard. There are 4 variances being requested. Planning has a condition of approval. Forestry is requesting a condition of approval, and Metrolinx has provided advisory comments. Welcome, Jerzy Rybinski.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Jerzy Rabianski of 3-17 the Queensway, Toronto, Ontario. I'm the owner and applicant of 150 Melrose Street.
Okay, sorry, I thought you were an agent before, or you have been an agent.
Yes, I have been an agent on previous applications.
Great, so doing something for yourself.
So
I don't think we need a full presentation. I think if you could just hang around for any questions, if panel members have questions.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to confirm that you, as the owner, are in agreement with the conditions of planning and I think it's urban forestry.
Yes, I am.
And you're aware of the Metrolinx advisory?
Yes, I am. Although the Metrolinx advisory is a little confusing because essentially for the fourplex, we did not have to agree to this condition, but going with just the garden suite, they've imposed it, so it's a little confusing, but I'm not sure why that is.
We've been confused by them as well.
Okay.
I don't think we can comment on.
But that's not
right.
Beyond our...
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so if there's no questions, are we ready for a decision?
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to bring a motion. I believe that on the basis of the conditions requested, that they be imposed, that the garden suite is a good addition to the property, meets the 4 tests, and I move to approve with conditions.
Thank you, Ms. Popovic. Is there a seconder? I believe Bill beat you to it. All in favor? Okay, you have unanimous approval. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, what were the conditions?
Forestry condition 2
planning.
and planning.
We have online the owner for 175 Brentwood Road North, which is the refund request.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, back to the beginning.
And the property owner is unmuted. Now they haven't, microphone check, Emil Salanaki. Go ahead.
Hello?
Hello, good morning, committee
Perfect.
Good
members.
morning.
How
Welcome.
are you all?
We're good.
It's
So we have a request from you for a refund from your previous application? And
that is correct, sir.
Okay,
Go
I
ahead.
just want to reiterate that you received your approval and you did receive your building permit as a result of this approval, and you have constructed, is that correct?
That is correct.
So the reasoning for your request then has nothing to do with us. It's essentially based on your personal situation.
Correct, sir.
Okay. Do you have a subsequent application?
We do. This was work that was completed last year. We have not received any order to comply. The project is actually completed, and unfortunately, through working through the project, we've met some very difficult personal circumstances. I'm more than happy to elaborate on why a subsequent application has been put through, if I may.
Well, we can deal with that when that application
When that one comes up, I
forward.
mean, what we have before us is your current application. I just wanted to inform members that you are coming back to us, and you have completed what you applied for. And
This is correct, sir.
Sorry, that's a very unusual situation for us. I don't think it's within our. It's not something that we've ever, certainly not something I've ever seen before, where it's not. Usually, people come back for a refund because they've stopped their application or because staff members made an error on the application or for some other such reason. But for purely financial reasons, because you feel you would now want your money back, is a very unusual situation.
Understood, and I can appreciate that, and I wanted to assure in good faith, since this is also public record, that when we actually get to the committee to explain the application, we are confident with excellent community support that we will gain the mercies of the committee, but we also understand the perspective of not being able to refund a previous application fee.
Yeah, you have to appreciate the potential precedent that this would set.
Understood.
I guess I could just chime in on kind of one of the tests is, not the 4 tests, but one of the tests is that the city did all the work. That's been done through the whole process, the approval process and so on. And I would echo the chair's comment. Sometimes the city hasn't done all the work at some point, but here everything's been done.
This is correct.
Any other questions?
It was it was an opportunity to to ask the question, and in life, one doesn't always get a yes.
I just have a question. You were happy with the outcome, so you're happy with whatever you've built, and yeah, I mean, to me, in my mind, when you go back for a refund, it's because you're not satisfied or you're not happy with what you've purchased. So that's
Yes,
that's my only comment.
Yeah, it's a very fair comment, Ms. Alderson, and we enjoyed having you on the committee a couple of years ago for the unanimous approval. It's one of those situations where we've never been in this situation before. We've over the last 15 years, with much pride and respect, we've invested heavily of our own personal funds in the City of Toronto, and 2023 ended up being quite a bad year for us, just one thing after another. And so we took the opportunity to ask the question, and we understand if the committee feel that they cannot set the wrong precedent.
Thank you. Unless there's anything else, I'm going to turn it over to members for a motion.
Mr. Chair, based on all of the submissions and considerations, I move that the committee decline the request.
Thank you, Ms. Popovic. Is there a seconder for that? Mr. Dalton? All in favor? Okay, thank you, sir. Unfortunately, we feel compelled to decline your request at this time.
And just to clarify for the applicant, the committee is only dealing with the request portion related to the Committee of Adjustment fee. We have no jurisdiction
to deal with the other fees.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chair and members. That'll conclude our 9:30 a.m. session.
I believe it will. Right on time.
So folks that are listening in, we will look to start our 1 p.m. session by 1:15 with our sound check beginning at 1 p.m. If that's all right. So we will see you then. Thank you, everybody.
Hi, Dave. Been in a hearing all day, so I didn't get back to you. So what's happening? Her T-shirt size. That's a very good question because she's lost a lot of weight. So I would think it probably is medium now.
The door's still open at 1 p.m.
I don't think it's small. And I no sense me looking at the sizes of stuff she's got because she hasn't bought anything new recently. So I think that the only way I can probably approach it is to ask her, not specifically that, but like, you know, I know you've been getting some new clothes and stuff because some of your stuff is too big. Right. No, I just don't want you to get the wrong size. Is this going to be something that's got some printing on it, or and it really isn't returnable? Oh, okay. Okay. Good. Okay. Sorry about yesterday, by the way. The misunderstanding. Okay. All right. asked me to call you back. Oh, you did? You weren't expecting to. Okay. How does he know that? How does he know that? Okay. Yes, I know what that is. We've done that before. With no problem. Yeah, I know exactly what it is. I was on it at one point too. Right?
I'll just put it inside the thing.
I don't know, 2 week hold. Okay. you realize, of course, you're not stating.
Hello?
Mark saying if you needed. But he doesn't think that's going to be a problem. Oh, okay. Right. 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 You were on under Leszewski. You were on the supper hall, and that it lowers the heart rate. That's what it is. Okay. So what did he specifically say he could go on the cruise? Okay, you understand my concern around if you were in the middle of Alaska had to go to a hospital. He doesn't think that's going to be a problem. You'll have had a good few weeks to see if there's any further symptoms. Right. Okay. Does he have an idea as to what caused it to go into AFib? Like he knows about the surgery. Okay. 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 So let me ask you this: if the Desopril doesn't do the job, he's talking about taking up a Midorone. He's not talking about putting on a pacemaker. Okay, so that's good. Oh. Okay. Well, all right. Well, that's what you're paying for, right?
I did too. No, I was trying to get. Well, our client told us last night he wanted to get an appeal of this price. So it's a lawyer call. I'm a lawyer. So he's drafted. I'm revising it. I just have to fill in a couple blanks and it's done. So I don't want you to be calling me this afternoon. Apologies. Am I able to search the opinions on this? Like keeps spinning. Or do I have to get on another network?
No, you don't have another network to get on. That's
oh. The only network you can actually use that business. Should I get out of WebEx then and do this, or because it's not? I have this spinning wheel that won't go away until nothing.